Hey, alright. Today in the shed, we're gonna address one of the issues that man has had since the dawn of time. I can't stop. Um, we still haven't situated our rear brakes. Right now, the bikes pedals, the handlebar is like wicked, like they don't, it doesn't stop very well. And we're gonna try to fix that. We're gonna take it all the way apart, I believe, to the best of our ability. We have like the Avid Juicy 7 BBC 7, and we're gonna pull it off the mount. We're gonna take the whole thing apart. We're gonna see what it is that we did, because right now when you pull on this, it is so crazy hard, and there's really nothing going on. They're not even really contacting or nothing. So I don't know if I got a kink in the wire or whatever else like that. And we're running like the double that pulls both of them at the same time, both the rear brakes. So we're just gonna gut the whole thing, take it all the way apart, maybe even mess with the rotors on the brakes a little bit, see if we can get those aligned a little bit, take the shims out that we put in, because when we looked up how to actually take apart the bike brakes and stuff, that's where I found out that like maybe I didn't need to actually put the extra washers on there, because there's some play in an extra set of screws that I totally forgot about. So we'll try to do that. I don't think we're ever going to figure out what the resistance is that we are having. Maybe just that I'm just a big, huge guy. You know, when you have like 400 plus pounds added onto your bike, it's going to go slow. So, and we also got like the little attachment to hold our little bike lock onto the back of the frame. The webbing on it is started to tear or come unsewed. I'm not 100% sure, but I couldn't find the exact replacement for it, but they do have another webbing piece, and I think this is the same thing. So I'm just going to MacGyver. I'm going to rip this one out, throw it in the old one, and I think that might, make everything better, I guess. I don't know. And so I think that's a good place to start from. So if we rip apart the brakes, check those out. I've never replaced the brake pads since I've owned this thing. And I'm going to guess that they were sintered. So it's like a metal pad. And so it really doesn't break down, I guess. Break down. And not the organic kind. And we'll check that out. I did order 4 new pairs of replacements for these types of brakes. They're not here yet. I also ordered the little park tool for bending the calipers a little bit handier for the brake calipers, or for the rotors or whatever, and see if we can make those a little more true before we go ahead and try to buy new ones to replace them. And so I think that's what we're working with today. We got, as before, we had both the battery mounts ready to go, and we have 2 fully charged batteries. So I think when I haven't done an actual like full-on field test to check and see just how far we can go now with 2 full 52 volt batteries with our Bafang, was it like a GS 510 or something like that? It's the one with all the torque, that you can haul a bus with it or whatever. So we might go on an adventure today as well, all depending on how much fun we have when we're actually taking things apart. So I think that's a great place to start from. Besides, I checked I got a YouTube notification saying that I had passed 100 subscribers. I just like to say, like, if it's bots, you know, like, good, that's nice. If it's actual people, what are you doing with your time? There's way better stuff to watch. I hope you accidentally subscribed, and maybe you'll on purposely unsubscribe, because 82 is like the best number to have. Yeah, it's a very lucky number. 100 is not. It's way too many. I've been doing YouTube since like 2008. 100 subscribers. Way too many subscribers for what I do. So, thank you, but no, just unsubscribe. It's cool. If you're trolling me, I understand. I hope it's funny. So yeah, I think we're ready to go. We're gonna rip apart the brakes and see if we can figure out why we can't stop, and make it so that, you know, you can actually, you know, have like a decent resistance, because the left brake is all the front ones, and that one's nice, slick and smooth, no issues. So let's get it back to where both of them are like that, and then maybe go on an adventure. Yeah, all right. GoPro, do that thing where you turn off. No more recording. The stopping of recording is required. Stop recording. Stop recording. GoPro, stop the capture. Okay, so that was quick and easy. It's just 2 bolts that hold it on. And now we have the gizmo off. It looks like there's brake pads still on it. That's what these things are, I think. I've never taken this apart, so I really don't know how they come out. So those are all the way backed off, each end of it that holds these 2 together. Do they just slide out? There's a thingy on the back. I don't know what that does. Have to disengage it. There's bolts on the sides. Maybe I have to take the bolts out to get it to let go of the pads. Let's see here. Can I just pull them out? Huh. Weird. Okay. So they come out. And there's still a pad on there. Uh-oh. I lost it. It's under my beard somewhere. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, they're covered in grease, oil, and muck. I mean, that couldn't have anything to do with not being able to stop. I mean, it's not like they're... You think that would make it so that they'd stop... Whoa. What's this thing? The inside of it looks like a hole. Okay. And then this thing on the back is still there, which looks like it just kind of squeezes in. So I'm guessing that comes off as well. Okay. So, all right. We've taken that apart. What is this thing? This thing's got to be the springy-majigger. Okay. Yeah, I mean, for all the years that I've used it, obviously I must not stop very often because there's still brakes here. So they're probably the centered ones. I mean, cleaning them probably... There's no way cleaning them would be the actual way to fix this. Let's see here. Let's go mobile. Let's see if we can pull the handle now. That's still super hard. There's no brake pads on that one. Maybe we'll do the other side and see what happens then. GoPro, stop capture. Okay, so I got both of them off now. And I gave the brakes a pull, and they were still tough. And so then I disconnected the brakes from what they were connected to. And over the winter, the cables would freeze up on these things. And so, like I'd try to pull real hard to break them free. Well, guess what? Looks like this one here got bent pretty good. And then if I rotate back this way, even this one here, the cable on this is bent a little bit. You'd think that wouldn't make a big difference. But maybe there's more actual going on than I suspected. So maybe I should just replace my my cables as well, not just the. Let's see if I can pull the boot off. Uh-oh. I lost all tons of stuff. I don't even have the cap ends for these things anymore, so let's see here. I guess I could, okay, pull that off. So I mean, the brakes still, they got like a springy gizmo to them. Feels good, I guess. But I'm guessing the pull on these, once it hits I'm pulling from both sides, and once it hits this, then it doesn't want to go any further because it's kinked. It's got that kink in it, so it stops it from going, as opposed to the other one. Let's see if I get this one free. Should be able to duck this out. I don't know if you could see this or not. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, so that one's free, and I should be able to pull that one. Yeah, that one pulls way easier than this other bent one does. Yeah, this one here, when it hits the bend, it stops. Like, that kink in there is a huge resistance, it feels like. See, so I guess for now, I'll go ahead. I don't have a spare. So for now, I'll just like try to bend it back and see if that does any better. The other side of the brakes, there's a left and right to these things too. I'm gonna mess this up when I put them back together, I know for sure. I think the left goes to this side here, and then the right goes to this side. So left, left goes to the little side, the little cog. That's how I'm gonna remember it. But there is actually quite a bit of when you look, if these are actually standard for one side, the right side is actually fairly thick. It slims down, and then the left side is really chewed up. And then when I actually look into the housing of the brakes in of themselves, these things in of themselves, they're super worn down and got a groove kind of built into the actual housing for where the rotor's been just chewing on them, trying to accommodate for, I guess, the wobble and the bent on the rotor. So yeah, so trying to get these things so that the brake works decent and then the rotor works decent all at the same time is going to be kind of strange, because if the brakes aren't straight, how do you get the rotor straight? But I guess we'll have to play with both of them and see where we get. I don't know how far we're going to get today when it comes to setting up these brakes. I mean, considering that we're not really using the rear brakes right now, we could totally just, take them off, I guess, until we get some replacements, possibly, and then just live with the front brakes and then hope everything goes well. Who needs to stop anyway, right? But yeah, I guess that's where we're going. need to change out these tires one of these days. I keep saying that, but I haven't done it. All right, GoPro, stop capture. Okay, so I accidentally recorded everything in a time lapse on accident. So I'm just gonna explain this again. Maybe I got better this time. So we have everything taken apart now. We have we straightened out the cables as best as we could, and we keep trying, and the ones that we straightened out are actually pulling a little bit better. But there's still a bit of resistance in it. And you know, we got them as straight as we can be. And then I was thinking, like, well, what else could there be that we're not doing? Because it seems like every little bit of a kink, bend in it, that resistance is makes a huge transfer to the end when you're actually trying to use the lever. And considering that the end cap here was messed up a little bit and it was rubbing on the inside, so that was having an effect on it as well. I started looking at how the cables were managed, and I don't know how I did this. Maybe it was like this before, but if I go around and look here, these cables right here, they actually come down. They go around this rod here that goes from tire to tire, like a tire rod, tie rod maybe, and they go in and around and up and over. So I'm guessing that might be another little bit of a level of resistance. I think we'll just go ahead and reroute that and see if we can make that so that it has less of that and more of not that. And then we'll also go ahead and clean everything that we got going on as well. So part of cleaning everything is going to be, I think we're going to use alcohol. And not like, say, Joy soap or something. And I was gonna use like some dirty old toothbrush or something, but I couldn't find them. So anyway, we got the alcohol, and then I got this beard comb. It's got a good, you know, tough bristle to it or whatever. And we'll use that to scrub our brake calipers and the pads. And so we'll reroute the cord, we'll scrub everything, try to get everything straight as we can, hook everything back up, see if we can mess with the rotors, right? The rotors for the brakes, make them so that they have less wobble if we can, if we notice it. Try to get them back on there, and just go for it, full send, and see if it's a little bit better. But I think in the end, new cables, because they might have, anyway, new cables on the brakes, just because of how much damage we possibly did to it. You know, putting a lot of force on it over the winter when they got froze up to try to free them up. And maybe that's, you know, because that's definitely what bent them. And so whatever, anyway, new cables, and then try that out. And if all that still doesn't really transfer to it being decent and it's still goofy, you know, we're gonna have to take it back apart and switch out the rotors, I think, because we'll have new brake pads. We'll put new cables on it. We'll have new rotors, and then I think there's no way that we should have any issue, because in a sense, there's no way that this is the issue, right? I mean, I guess it could be. This kind of sounds like it's got some stuff in there. But I mean, I guess we could switch these out too. But anyway, I think we're getting there. Who knows? All right, GoPro, stop capture. Well, I think I may have made a mistake. So I was cleaning this thing up, and I was loosening these up, you know, just moving them back and forth, and this thing fell out. So I took the thing so that it unsandwiches itself, so I could figure out what's going on. And I still don't know what's going on, actually. I'm not gonna lie. But we got like a lock ring on the bottom of this, and I'm guessing it goes back in here, but it doesn't really want to go in. So And I need to, I guess, because I think I was tightening it and it shoved it out. So I need to loosen it up again and then maybe push it back in. But I don't know if it's like spring activated. Doesn't seem like it's getting any lower. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of... And I know this got like some spring to this thing here too, so there could be... I don't know, did I hose myself on this thing? I don't know. But yeah, just to give you a heads up, I guess don't overturn what you don't need to. Otherwise, it's gonna... you're gonna push it free and bust it loose. So now I gotta figure out how to back this off so that I could get this back in there so that it's back to doing what it normally does. Oops. I think I created more problems than I had before. All right, GoPro, stop capture. Okay, so after looking it up for a bit, and then coming back and checking it out, I watched somebody take this whole thing apart, so now I know what it looks like on the inside with the spring and everything else like that. What I think... my keys. What I think happens here, it really doesn't translate well to the video, but there's supposed to be a little post that sticks up into this plastic part, and when you're rotating this, that little post rotates this and moves this, it slides it in and out from this piece here. And what happened is that I've rotated it so far that it pushed the post so far down. With the way that the spring is set up, it actually, this piece here that rotates it, the screw is disconnected from this bottom plate. So if we take this, if we take this off, all right, there's two pieces here that clamp down onto this here, and this little post here is what we need to rotate. And we could try to maneuver it like that, or we can go ahead and take this whole contraption apart. This whole thing, when it comes apart, has a spring on it and a little dust cover jobby and a bunch of different little washers. Or we could just try to maneuver the little piece on the inside. All we got to do is just back it out some more, so where it comes up, and then once it comes up enough, then we can actually utilize this here for, you know, making it come up and down. And then also we will be able to back it out enough to where we can actually push in this piece here. We have to have enough space because there'll be like a little notch down there. It's going to take a bit to like oomph it back in there. But we can oomph it back in there. We'll give it some oomph. And I think we'll be able to get it. All right, GoPro, stop capture. Okay, that was a nightmare. Everything else was going cool until I had to get a gasket. There's like a little rubber dust outer keeper jobby thing that slips in between here and the spring and stuff like that. And mine has gotten to the point where it is floppy like old wizard's sleeve, and it is too big to actually go back inside. Like when I pulled it out, I was like, gosh, that's strange. I wouldn't watch some other videos, and the gasket just slips right in there and everything's just fine. So I slipped, it took me a while to get it in there, fold it over, so it's got like an extra fold in it, and then managed to get everything in there. I mean, it still works, but you can see it's chopping off. It's by crimping it down, it's actually cut the edge of the gasket. It's doubled over. Eventually, that's just going to get chopped off. And it should still work fairly much the same. It's got enough clearance and stuff to go around, but yeah, I guess if you've had these long enough and you've put enough like odd chemicals on it, you're gonna have like a weird day. But we got it back in there now. So the plunger piece is in there, and it functions like it should. It comes up, and we have it. You know, so just be careful when if you're just messing with this thing, you can force this plug out, and when this plug comes out, you're gonna have to maneuver some stuff. And if you've gotten enough chemicals on it over time, oh, there goes the extra piece hanging out the outside. If you got enough chemicals on it over time, your rubber sleeve is going to become like old man's wizard sleeve, like this. So, yeah. But that's this. We'll throw it back together and we'll see if we can get the rest of this thing going. I don't think I'm gonna. When I clean up the other one, I'm gonna make sure that I don't make the same mistake that I made the first time, and then go from there. Because I don't see no reason to take the other one apart, because I know it's gonna be the same story, where it's gonna be floppy like old man's wizard sleeve. All right, cool. All right, GoPro, stop capture. Okay, well, we got everything hooked back up again. We got the cables attached to the brakes and attached back to the front, but there's such a significant wobble to the rotors in that themselves that we're still going to get some scrapage, because otherwise, I mean, if we have it loose enough that we don't hear it squealing and touching sides, it won't actually stop. And so we have the tensions proper on it now, but let's see here, it'll actually stop now. So there we go, we have brakes, but it's at what cost kind of type deal. We can keep tightening it up if we want to, but in the end, we just got to straighten the rotors before we can dial it in so that it's proper and like a good stopping on it. Yeah, so yeah, I think for now we're at a good stopping point. I'm not feeling super ambitious after being upside down and hanging out for a while, trying to get them going. We got the bike suspended and stuff to work on it so that we can spin it and do all that kind of cool jazz. But for now, I think that's it for, you know, the bike stops. That's, you know, that's one thing. A little bit. It's gonna have some squeal to it, and they're not new or nothing like that. Like I said, it's, if you're trying to dial in your calipers on top of your on your rotors, you got to have straight rotors, otherwise you're fighting an impossible battle for sure. So either I buy new rotors and then go from there, or I just keep trying to straighten them out. But at this point, you know, I'm just using I'm trying to use like this little crescent wrench here and like eyeballing it from down below, and I'm just not quite getting it. It's you know, it might be better if I were to remove the tires and then have everything else hooked up as it is right now, and then from there I'll be able to see a little bit better, because I have to look around the tire to see them, and then I also have to get my head close enough in the totes in the way, and if I'm trying to be underneath it, I don't have that much clearance unless I pick the bike up even higher, which is not a big deal, but also still the tire is a bit of an issue. So, you know, I think when it comes down to it, you want to get the proper kind of caliper tool that'll give me a little easier flex to it or whatever. When I get that in, I'll pull the tires, work with the rotors from there, and then I'll have new brake cables and new brake pads, and at least have the process nailed down for switching these things out and understanding it a little bit better now. And this is definitely not a tutorial by no means, but this is makes me feel a little bit better as into what I was working with. And there definitely was an issue with the brake cables being bent, and then also how they were being routed. I don't know what I did at some point in time when I was hooking things up or whatever, but I think that gave it a little bit of extra resistance. But in the end, we just gotta keep working with it, I guess. Alrighty, I think that's it. GoPro stop capture. GoPro stop capture.